Hey there, my name is Chris Acton with Acton Creative, and this is A Handwoven Experience, episode 33. In this episode, we're going to talk all about the weaving reed. So let's start with the basics. What is it? Well, the reed is a rectangular frame with dividers that fits into the beater bar. So this is the front of my table loom here. This is the beater bar that goes forward and back, and this is the reed that's wedged in there. And what's nice is that in most cases, the loom will have the ability to just slide the top right off, and that the reed can come out then, which gives you a lot of options, especially if you are a weaver. I have trouble every time. If you are a weaver who dresses the loom from front to back, this becomes critical because you can take the reed out, sit at a table, slay it, which is another word for threading. You slay the reed and then put it back into the loom with the project already ready to go. The reed's sole purpose in life is to keep your project at a consistent width, keeping all the yarns evenly spaced. And that may not seem like much, but just try a project without it and you'll find out quickly how critical the reed is. So let's talk about different kinds of reeds. There's basically two different variables to consider when you are looking for a reed. First of all, it has to fit your loom. So this is considered a 15-inch because that's the width of my loom here. So I have a 15-inch reed. The second thing you have to consider is the spacing. These spaces are each called dents, and they produce reeds with fewer or more dents in the frame. So this is a 12 dent reed, which means if I take my handy dandy measurer here and I lay out 1 inch, I will count 12 spaces. The other way that you can look at this too is that each reed has a number engraved in the end there that'll say 8 or 12 or 20 or 6 or whatever it is. So it'll give you a little clue typically at the end of the reed here. So those are kind of the two ways that you would specify what kind of reed you need. And when you are looking for a reed, you need to consider a couple things. First of all, how big is the yarn that you are using? If I was using a really fat yarn, this may not be wide enough. I may need a little more space for my yarns to travel forward and back through the project. So I may need to go to a lower number than a 12. Or vice versa, if I was doing projects with really, really fine yarns, I may want one that is closer to a 16 or an 18 or 20 or something like that, so that the yarns aren't all kind of wedged together. They have a few more dividers in the mix. For me personally, for my table loom, I just have the one. I've got a 12 dent for this one, and then for the big floor loom, I have two different reeds. One is an 8. I'll show you this guy here. And I know because of the glare, you're not able to see it, but there's an 8 engraved in the bottom here, and you can almost visually see that there's more space in between. So there's 8 spaces, 8 dents in the reed here. And this is great when I'm using fuzzier yarn, or I just want the project to be spaced a little farther apart. So I have an 8 and a 12 for the big loom, and I make do with those. I haven't actually invested in a smaller one or a bigger one to go with. So you don't need a lot of fancy ones. You can just do the math and figure out how to either double up a yarn in a dent or skip spaces. It's all good. And that is your crash course in weaving reeds. I hope you picked up a little trivia, a little nugget of information today. So until next time, have a great week, my friend, and happy weaving.